Yeah. So yeah, React Native, Vue.js, all of them usually use a mixture of three different technologies to build web pages. Usually we use HTML. You guys are familiar with HTML, CSS. And the third component is JavaScript. So HTML and CSS, tunaweza sema, it's like the outer covering, right? Like let's say we have a car. So you see the paint job, the rims, um, the leather seats, things that look nice, right? That's what we refer to as HTML and CSS. But JavaScript is that stuff that happens under the hood, like the engine or the gearbox or the fuel pump. Those are the things that without it, like the car is just an empty shell, right? So yeah, HTML, CSS, JavaScript are usually used in combination with each other just to make web pages. And then now these other developers, these cool developers, like they go a step further to try and make web development, the work of a developer, a bit easier, a bit cooler, like with new features, etc. Yeah, that's essentially those are the three things that pertain to web development. So first, where we're going to start our discussion today, guys, is just talking about variables. And remember, this is just like an introductory class. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about variables. So I don't know what you guys might, what you guys might, like when you talk about a variable, Richie, Victor, Faith, what do you think, what comes to your mind when you talk about a variable, when you hear variable?
I think nikisikia variables kitu yenye nakam kwa mind ni tuseme tools ama equipment, vitu kama hizo zenye zinatumika maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, that's a good attempt, but you do have the right idea. You are on the right path. You definitely are on the right path. So yeah. Richie, Faith, any idea what you think a variable might be?
Me personally, to be honest, it's no idea about what a variable is, but nimaiona tu, but sikushika.
Nakupata. Yeah, I hear you. Faith anasema something that can change depending on the condition. So yeah, just for avoidance of doubt, a variable, just like Faith and Victor have alluded to, a variable is something that can change depending on the condition, or it's something that stores or holds a value, right? So, for example, we all have an age, we all have a gender, we have certain preferences when it comes to clothes. So, for example, we have, like, let's say let's consider age as a variable. So Faith has said that it's something that can change depending on the condition, or it's something that holds value, right? So age changes every 365 days. So that is something that changes, and age can be referred to as a variable. So maybe like, for example, kama mi upenda like PlayStation, right? Or like football. Let's say my favorite team is Man U. So favorite team could be referred to as a variable. You get, and anything else, literally anything else when it comes to any real world object could be you see, let me tell you just something. Programming or software engineering or IT, it usually follows like the world, like it models like the real world, right? So basically the work of web developers, software engineers is just to make things that already exist, but try and tell them, put them in a way that the computer can understand. So variables is one of those things that computers understand by storing them in values. So I really hope I've tried as hard as I can just to make that description. But yeah, that's what variables are. And yeah, what they are in JavaScript, they're used to store data values. Data types include numbers, strings, booleans, arrays, objects, etc. Wase msichanganyikiwe na hizi terms. Like they sound complicated, but really they are very, very straightforward and simple. So numbers obviously store numbers. Strings, easy strings, they usually store like text. Booleans usually store like true, false values. Then we have arrays, objects, etc. Before we continue, if you guys might have any questions, please like just throw them in the chat. I'm gonna just like go ahead and ask. I just want to make sure like we're together up until this point before we go ahead and do like other things. So let me know if we're together up until that point, or if you have any questions, feel free. Mm. Wazi, Victor, we're together. Awesome. Yeah, so let's continue. I know you guys, some of you guys maybe are coding for the first time, or you're getting into coding. I don't mean to confuse you at all, but let's just give you a few examples, a few JavaScript examples that can help us gain a better understanding of JavaScript. So we talked about variables and data types, right? So here, there are three data types or three variables that have been, three variables that have been declared. So we've got name, age, is student. So name, if I may just ask, open question, well, name has the value of John. And like we saw over here, we have a few data types. So we've got numbers, we've got strings, we've got booleans. Those are at least, okay, let's focus on just these three for today. Numbers, strings, and booleans. So a name, I'll just pose this question to the participants. What is name? Is name a string? Is it a number or is it a boolean? Victor, Richie, Faith, maybe you can help me with that. Yeah, name is string. Awesome. Thanks, Richie. Age is what data type? Yeah, age is number or integer. And then, yeah, number. Victor, yeah, you're right, number. And how about is student? Yeah, spot on. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a boolean. It's a true false value. And then basically what we're doing in the steps below is we're trying to display the values. of the variables. So console log is a keyword. Don't be very, and especially guys who are really like starting out with programming. Don't be like don't be scared of these words. Console.log just means like print something out. So it displays value. So console log name, then we pass the variable name, then we get the variable value. And then we also have this other one here, which is console log age. Get the value of 25. We would get the value of 25 and console log a student, which would be a student. So I hope maybe you guys, I can share this docs presentation in the chat just so that you guys can practice on your own. But I just wanted to be as conversational as possible in case you guys might have any questions or suggestions. But I'll just walk through this like as a presentation just so that it's conversational and it flows. So if you don't mind, I'll move on to the sixth slide. Reviewed variables and data types. Let's view and let's see what operators are. So operators, might you guys have, or what do you guys understand by the word operator? Yeah, special symbols. Yeah, like arithmetic notations. Yeah.
Something that maybe puts a thing into an action.
I like these definitions. I really like them. Yeah, it's a special symbol, arithmetic notation, or it puts something into an action. So I remember, like you guys would remember, like from mathematics, like in high school and like primary, working with operators. So they all, like the concept of operators revolves around mathematics, which you guys have correctly alluded to. So yeah, basically operators in mathematics, we have four basic operators, which is obviously addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So basic, hey, my voice. So basically, operators are used to perform like they're special symbols, like Victor said, or arithmetic notations, and they are used to perform operations on each other. So, for example, we've set A to 10 and B to 5. So if we wanted to add the values of the two variables, we just place the name of the variable A and the name of the variable B, and then just add them to each other. Difference, subtraction, A minus B. For product or multiplication, A asterisk B. And then for the quotient, A slash B. So I don't know if you guys might have any questions about this, but it's pretty straightforward. How operators benefit us when it's an upside idea, like in uh programming. I don't know if you guys have any questions or any comments about this. All good, all good. So Victor. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, right? But these are just like fundamental conversations that lead up to like more advanced concepts. Understanding variables, operators are really like key when it comes to like web development. So let's now look at control flow and conditional statements, something that we see happening a lot in programming. So as always, so our variable let time equals to 14, right? So here basically it's just going through a bunch of it's going through a conditional statement. It's just saying if something like here, if time is less than 12, this gets displayed. Else if time is less than 18, this console.log gets displayed. Else console.log good evening. Awesome. Maybe we haven't really done anything practical, but I would just like to, just so that like it's not all theoretical and boring. Let me just open up VS Code and at least like just demo this one, demo this thing for control flow. Yep. Cool. So yeah, if you guys have your IDEs open, just create a file. I'll call it index.js, or let me just call it script.js. Control flow. Sorry for the confusion. Control flow.js, because we're working in JavaScript. So if like we mentioned, if you're working in CSS, the extension would be CSS. If it's JS, it's .js, etc., etc., etc. So well, let me just, cool. So here, let time equal to 14. So let me just ask the question, which is the variable in this case?
We can see your VS Code.
Thanks, Faith. Damn, that's so embarrassing. But anyway, yeah. So in this case, which one is our variable? So let time equal to 14. You can see my VS Code now, right?
Yes, we can see.
Yeah. So yeah, you can see it. Okay, cool. So in this case, our variable, so I'll just comment this. You write comments just like 2 slashes. And then here we're just saying that this is a variable declaration. Or it's just basically saying we have a variable called time. So I just want to copy this. If time is less than 12, we're going to do console.log. Good morning. And then else if time less than 18, console.log good afternoon. And then if none of these really run, let's say else. All right, cool. So let me run this. Ebony run. Let me cd into this directory. Don't mind this too much, but yeah, I'm just changing directory into where this file is real quick. Cd login, and then git node. I think the command is node control flow .js. Hope this works. Oh yeah, it did. All right, cool. So guys, can we just like evaluate this code just to see like exactly what happened for us to get this result? So we got the result of good afternoon, right? So basically, and I really hope you guys are with me. Yeah, if you're with me, just drop like a 1 in the chat, just so I know you guys are right there. Mko hapa mjaenda mahali. Right, Richie, Faith. Wazi, kila mtu ako fiti. So yeah, basically we've declared our variable to be 10, set it to 14. And then because time is less than 18, right? Okay, let's start with line 3. If time is less than 12, we print good morning. But time is not less than 12 because it's 14. So it comes here and it says, it checks if time is less than 18. It prints. Console log just means print. So it prints in what we call a console. So it prints out good afternoon. So yeah, Richie, I don't mean to ambush you, but let's say for example, we had the value of 10 set to a variable time. Could you maybe give us could you tell us what we should expect once we run this code? Richie or Faith or Victor. So if we set the variable to be 10, let's just do it practically. So I've set the variable to be 10. Let's say I want to run this. So I should expect good morning because time is less than 12. So since time is less than 12, it's only this that runs. So it prints out console.log good morning to the console. Let's say, for example, we print 23. What do you expect? What do we expect when we try to run this program? With Victor, Richie, what should we expect? An error. An error. So Faith has said good evening. An error. Haitakuwa good morning. Yeah. So can we run this? Can we run it together and then we see what happens? So node control. But let me just ask Victor, why wouldn't it be good morning? Mbona itakuwa? Yeah.
I think ni kwa sababu hapo juu tumeipatia instruction ya time ni 23 na ni more than 12, so ndo maana nafikiria haitakuwa good morning.
Yeah. So it's more than 12, so haiwezi kuwa good morning. Alright, cool.
Yeah.
How about you, Richie? Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Victor. You're actually right. How about you, Richie?
Nimesema itakuwa na error because I think hapa 18 ndio the reference point na 23 is above 18, so that's why nimesema itakuwa na error.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I see you. I see your logic. I do see your logic. How about you, Faith?
Oh, wait, Eric. Eric. Nimefikiria kitu. So si nilikuwa nadhani itasema good evening.
Yeah.
Kwa sababu tumeipatia instruction ya else. So mimi nafikiria ni good evening.
Ni good evening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so I see. I mean that's pretty impressive that you could see that. So Faith, I think you had something to say. I'm going to cut you off.
Same na mwenye ameongea Victor.
Yeah.
Because 23 is more than 12 and 18, so kwa hii code umesema kama iko like about less than 18 na 12 ita display good evening.
Yeah. Richie has clocked as well. Right, awesome. So yeah, when we run it, it's a good evening, fantastic stuff. So yeah, at least now we have a good understanding of control flow and conditional statements. So let me just show you, just talk about a use case for something like this, for a conditional statement. So let's say, for example, you're logging in a user to your website. So you'll want to check that the credentials that they're passing are authentic and that they're real, right? So yeah, for example, maybe if you're writing code for a website, you'll say if password equals, or if email equals, say faith@gmail.com and password equals faith123, login. So that's the understanding, that's the logic behind conditional statements, that the code is interactive. That's how they usually use real world scenarios. So yeah, control flow, variables, super important concepts. Let's talk about functions. And scope. So functions are blocks of code that can be reused, and scope refers to the visibility of variables within different parts of the code. Yeah. So basically a function, so in coding, you can do many things. You can write many things with many lines of code, right? But it's just like a formula, right? Like the formulas that we had in math. So using a formula, you can get the answer to something as easily as possible. Let me just demonstrate it practically in VS Code. So let me just create a new file, and I'll just call it functions.js. So let's do this. Yeah, I want to remember console.log is just like saying print. So I want it to print my name. My name is Eric. So if I want to print Eric, I'll just come back here. And let me just clear the screen real quick. And then if I want to print my name, I'll just use the keyword node and then functions dot js. Like when I didn't save. Okay, let me try it again. Yeah. So when I saved it, it printed my name. So if I want to print my name, like let's say 3 times, I'll just copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, save, and then I'll write the same command, node functions.js. Eric. All right, cool. So what functions do is they give us a way, like you see, this is repetitive. I'm doing this. If I wanted to print my name 100 times in different files, it would take too long. So functions allow us to write things once. They allow us to write things once. And then after writing them once, we don't have to think about them again. We just have to call the name of the function. So let me demonstrate that. I hope we're together. I do hope we promote. Yeah, so let me cancel this. And then I'll create a function using the keyword function. I'll call it name. And then this is the function name. And then functions always have like parentheses, then curly brackets. So I'm just going to do console.log. I'm going to pass Eric array, right? So this is a function and its name. So if I wanted to write my name like many times, let me just say this. Let me put it within, yeah, it's like this. I think it's like, let me just test this. Let's just test this real quick. Yeah. Awesome. So have you seen that? Hope, well, let me just repeat it just for avoidance of doubt. So I've created a function called name, and within it, I've passed console log Eric Murray. You can pass in your name, Faith Muiruri, Richie, Victor Omondi. If you want to repeat that code, all you need to do is write the function name. And the function name in this case is name. I know it sounds confusing, but like that's essentially what it is. Let's say I want to write another function. Or let me, before I get there, if I wanted to pass my name or to write whatever is over here many times, it's easier to write it like in a function. It's easier to just write a function, and then anywhere in other sections of the code, I just print the name of the function. All right, so let me do one thing and stop me in case you have any questions or clarifications. Please don't please just like ask me anything you might need. So let's say I wanted to write like about me, about myself. So I'll just say console.log. I'll lie. 96 years old. I love playing. Let me lie. I don't like. I don't like. Well, I don't know how to play volleyball. So I'll just say that I love playing volleyball. I live in space. Elon Musk. is black, whatever, anything goes. So you see, if I wrote like console, like now if I wanted to write this, if I wanted to print this out in my console, all I have to do is just write the function name, which is about me. Function name is about me. And then save it, Control S, then I come and run it here with functions.js. I don't know if you guys, can you guys see my whole screen? If you can see my whole VS Code. So Faith, Richie, Victor. So basically, yeah, awesome. So I hope this is pretty clear. So the function about me, yeah, was it Richie, was it Victor? So yeah, that's the general idea around functions. So they just like, instead of having to repeat yourself over and over, you just have to like write a function and then you call it from wherever. I don't know if you guys have any questions about that, but yeah, that's how they work. And scope, scope is a very, very interesting conversation. So basically we have global variables and local variables. So in this case, this global var is accessible to the entire web page, right? But this local var, and remember variables store values. So global variables essentially would be accessible to anyone throughout the program, but local variables would only be accessible within the function scope. Those are big words for saying that this variable over here, like how many variables do we have in this program? Please, Victor, Richie, how many variables do we have in this code? Yeah, so Victor, you might be wondering, how many variables do we have in this program or in this block of code? So we have two variables. So we have the global var as the global variable, and then we also have this local var. So we have two variables in this program. So essentially, this local variable is unique to this function, and global variable, and the global variable can be used across the program. This might sound confusing, but really with just a little bit of practice, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah. So that's how scope works. And then what we can do in this block of code, and I will request you guys, let me paste this in the chat, and I'll request you guys maybe in your free time just to practice this. Maybe you guys can, let me just make it accessible to you guys. Yeah, anyone with a link can view. So just try this in your own computers, and then you can just circle back with me, like with any questions or clarifications. I also just wanted to demonstrate to you guys, just like in a real world application or a real world project, how these things come together. I will show you guys. You remember the login form that we had started working on some time back? I think it was 2nd August that we we worked on it. So I'll just open it up right here. Then what I'll do, and you guys can ask me any questions. This is just like our website. This is the source code for our website. And yeah, we've reviewed HTML, CSS. Now let's look at how JavaScript is used and how it comes together within an actual website. So I'll open up login.html, and my index.js is also open. Yeah, my index.js is open, and as you can see, I'm referencing it using this script tag. Don't worry too much about it. I just want to show you guys one thing before we finish. So, and I want us to focus on especially this section. So from line 39 to 59. Don't feel overwhelmed by this. I'm just showing you guys like the main things that you might have to look out for. So we have an event listener, and it's checking for an element ID. Guys, if you have any questions or if this looks crazy, it's just like, what the hell is this? Like, just feel free just to tell me, and I can just like just like try and explain it a bit in a bit more simpler words. But basically, let's go back to HTML. In our HTML, we have a form, and within the form, we have this input type, and we've passed the ID of username. Please, in case you have any questions, any clarification, please just like ask. But yeah, we have an input ID, an input type, and we've passed in the ID of username. Remember this ID username. Let's go to our index.js. This is what like validates your form, or like make sure that you're actually picking up the exact information. So we're saying our username has an ID, and that ID is called username. I know it sounds confusing, but we are referencing HTML to JavaScript over here. And then also for our password, let's just come here to ID input type of password, ID equals password. Please, I know this might sound confusing, especially for the beginners, but I just want to show you like the main things. So ID equals password, and then we get the element by ID, again, of password. And then here you see we've just worked on like simple conditional statements. So here we've done something called hard coding. So we've literally said that the username is the user123, and password equals to pass123. And then once it's successful, we get this alert, login successful. So I don't want to bore you guys too much with JavaScript. Let's just see. So as you can see, please, okay, Richie or Victor, please, as you can see, our username has been given the value of user123, and password 123. So let's just see this practically. So our username was user123, and password EAS123, right? So I'll press login, I'll press this button now, and we should get this alert, the alert that says login successful. Or let me put a wrong password, and so that I can get, oh no, let me press login. Yeah, as you can see, it says login successful because I put in the correct username and the correct password. Awesome. Let me refresh this. Let me refresh it. And let me just use random email username and password. And with that, it should give us this result. let me log in. All right, else, I'll just say else. Let me just edit the code a little. Let's say else alert. That. Cool. Hooray. And then, yeah, so I put in the wrong email and password and it gave me this result. So yeah, Faith, Victor, Richie, James, in case you guys have any questions, I hope you found value in today's session. I hope you have found value. I hope you guys have learned something.